they're mandating that your children get vaccinated to go to school, especially here in California. And I want to remind everybody that COVID, this is from the BBC, children's extremely low risk confirmed by study. The overall risk of children becoming severely ill or dying from COVID is extremely low, a new analysis of COVID infection data confirms. This is from the New York Times. An unvaccinated child is at less risk of serious COVID illness than a vaccinated 70-year-old. What's the exact number? Well, age-specific infection fatality rates range from 0.001% for children aged 5 to 9. I'll say that again, 0.001% in those aged 5 to 9.
Wow. The same percentage as the people with enough money to run the world.
So here, for children without, this is from the New York Times, for children without a serious medical condition, the danger of severe COVID is so low as to be difficult to quantify. The risk of long COVID among children, a source of fear of many parents, is also very low. According to the CDC, among children, the mortality risk from COVID-19 is actually lower than from the flu. Well, that's not stopping California. Newsom schools should fine-tune vaccine mandates to keep kids in school. So they mandated that all the kids had to be vaccinated. But now 34,000 of them aren't and won't go. And so now they're going to fine-tune it. Los Angeles Unified School District should adjust its vaccine mandate so the 34,000 students at risk of not meeting the January inoculation deadline won't be kicked out of the classroom and back into online learning. That was the implication behind comments Governor Gavin Newsom made in a Wednesday appearance on Good Morning America to promote his new children's book. Newsom says, we need to fine-tune all this. This is iterative. We want to keep the kids in school. We don't want to see 34,000 kids sent home. Quite the contrary. And that's why I'd say you have to accommodate. No, I would agree with all that. And he says, and I have all the confidence in the world the school board will work to accommodate. And today, the interim LAUSD superintendent proposed that enforcement of the vaccine mandate be delayed from January to the start of next school year in 2022. Now, wait a minute. When they did this, so this is in October, he ordered a mandate for kids from K to 12. It said in the first such action, this is back then, in the nation, Governor Gavin Newsom issued a mandate Friday requiring all eligible public and private school children in California to be vaccinated against COVID-19, a policy the state expects to affect millions of students by fall 2020. With Newsom's student vaccine mandate, California is once again moving faster than any other state on measures to combat pandemic that has taken about 69,000 lives in the state. The Golden State was the first to order a strict lockdown early in the pandemic. And this is what Gavin Newsom said when he ordered the first mandate. He said the state already requires that students are vaccinated against viruses that cause measles, mumps, and rubella. There's no reason why we shouldn't do the same for COVID-19. Well, those are totally different types of diseases. So you're conflating. These aren't the same. Those are totally different types of viruses and diseases. Today's measure, just like our first in the nation school masking and staff vaccination requirements, is about protecting our children and school staff and keeping them in the classroom, said Governor Newsom. Well, if it's about protecting our school and staff, why and you got to do this, can you also put it off for a year? So you're putting it off for a year. So kids are in school. They're all in school. And they don't have to be vaccinated right now. But we're going to wait a year and then implement this. Does that make any sense to anybody? By the way, for kids who have almost uncalculable low risk from COVID, this is what we're doing? Why are we doing this? Why are you jabbing kids? And what? And now he's reversing it. Now he's saying, remember when I said everybody had to be vaccinated by January? Turns out I was wrong. We could wait till next fall. What? This doesn't sound like it's about health. This sounds, I'm getting mixed messages. Schools remain closed longer than in many other states and longer than many business sectors in California, leading to some intense criticism of the governor for not making school reopening a higher priority. So now he's getting pushback. So now he's getting political pressure, Governor Newsom, and he's changing his mandate. He's saying we got to accommodate all these kids who won't get vaccinated. Because he got, so this isn't, they're not following science. This is all politics. The governor also stressed that his first in-the-nation student COVID-19 vaccine mandate, which isn't set to go into effect until next year at the earliest and is more lenient than some district mandates, includes personal exemptions, not just religious and or medical exemptions, so there's plenty of latitude for families to make decisions. Well, what's the point of a mandate if you're giving everybody latitude to not do it? I thought it's about health. Doesn't sound like it. The remarks suggest that Newsom, who's facing re-election next year, is aware of the political liability inherent in banning tens of thousands of kids from campus not long after schools reopen for in-person instruction, and shortly after the U.S. Surgeon General warned of the impending youth mental health crisis. So when you keep kids out of school, they get mentally ill. The U.S. Surgeon General issues a stark warning about the state of youth mental health. But by emphasizing the personal belief exemption, Newsom also put himself on a possible collision course with Democratic state lawmakers, some of whom are considering legislation to remove the exemption when they return to Sacramento in January. So they want more harsher restrictions. The Democrats in California want to get rid of the exemption and make sure every kid is vaccinated. Why? Well, it's not because they're taking money from Big Pharma. If it's about the health, why is it the Democrats won't give people health care in California like they promised? If it's about your health, because it's not about your health. Corporate Democrats sabotage single-payer bill in California for wealthy donors. That's who they are. And anything they're doing, you have to think they're doing it for their wealthy donors. We do not. So this is a 100% Democrat-controlled state, supermajority and a Democratic governor. They all run on Medicare for all, and they don't give it to you because they don't give a shit about you. And if you think that any mandate or any other thing that Governor Newsom or these Democrats are doing is because they care about you or they care about your health, you are a chump of the highest order. This is all politics, 100%. And, well, here, let's keep going. Tyrone Howard, a UCLA education professor, children are not well and are dealing with the effects of the pandemic, just the disconnect from friends and social connections. Even though they're now reconnecting, just that absence can have a massive effect. To make matters worse, California is also seeing an uptick in COVID-19, driven almost entirely by the Delta variant, even as more Omicron cases are confirmed, with the statewide daily average of new cases rising more than 30% since Thanksgiving. Whoa! Again, children at such a low risk of COVID, you can't even calculate it. But they still want to make you scared. They still want you to be scared. But here's the vaccine for kids. Here's a voting member of the FDA panel who had to vote to approve the vaccine for children. And here's what he said about the vaccine.
And I think what sways me here is that it's a very sort of personal choice. If I had a child who was a transplant recipient, I would really want to be able to use a vaccine like this. And there are certainly kids who probably should be vaccinated. The question of how broadly to use it, though, I think is a substantial one. And I know it's not our question, but I know we're kind of punting that to ACIP. But I do think that it's a relatively close call. And as Dr. Levy just said, as Dr. Gann said, it really is going to be a question of what the prevailing conditions are. But we're never going to learn about how safe the vaccine is unless we start giving it. That's just the way it goes. That's how we found out about.
So I don't know if you heard he said, we're never going to find out how safe this vaccine is until we start giving it.
God. Until we test it?
Yeah, that's what he said. And he said, watch this.
There are complications of other vaccines like the rotavirus vaccine. And I do think that we are going to, I do think we should vote to approve it.
There you go. So there you go. So again, I don't, Governor Newsom, what he's doing, he's reversing his own mandate now. Why? Because of politics. So don't think for a second that these politicians are following the science. They don't give a shit about the science. They give a shit about their donor class and their own personal careers. Kurt, you want to say something?
He's just got to buy some time until we can get the metaverse up and running for these kids. The Facebook metaverse to replace all their personal relationships.
Hey, come see a live stand-up show. We're doing New Year's Eve in Studio City. In January, we'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina. In February, we're going to be in Philadelphia. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all our tickets.